Remember, Willie Fritz is a program builder, not a miracle worker. Keep that in mind for this entire season, but definitely keep that in mind as we go through the Cougars' prediction. So welcome back to the Gridiron Expert, guys. Ready to break down the Houston Cougars, their schedule, their prediction for this upcoming college football season. As always, please continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and check out everything down in the description below. That includes our website, thegridironexpert.com, home of our exclusive newsletters, home of our expert picks, some of the best spread picks in the entire country for one of the lowest prices in the entire country. We want you to take advantage of those. We want you to join our GE Nation with everything we have to offer you, again, down in the description below. So Houston, guys, look, 4-8 last year for the Cougars. They got rid of Dana Holgorsen, and they made a splash hire. Willie Fritz was one of the best hires of this entire offseason. But just because he was thriving at Tulane when he left, and just because it was such an amazing hire, doesn't mean that he's going to come in and immediately win with the Cougars. Keep in mind, his first year at Tulane, he went 4-8. The next year, just 5-7. Took him 3 years to get Tulane to a bowl game before ultimately hitting his peak by his 7th year. Where in year 7 and year 8, he led Tulane to a 23-4 combined record and that Cotton Bowl victory over USC. It takes time to build a program, and it will be the case for Houston, who's coming off a 4-8 season in a year that probably could have been worse. A 1-win season, a 2-win season. They probably should have lost to West Virginia, got bailed out by a miraculous Hail Mary. They narrowly beat Baylor by 1 point in overtime, so they're 2 plays away from being 2-10. This Houston team wasn't nearly as good as a 4-8 record shows, and they're going to go through some major growing pains in year 1 under Fritz now. Take a look at the offense. Only 5 starters are back. They averaged just 23.7 points per game. Willie Fritz in year 1 at Tulane only averaged 24.1 points per game. So about right here. It's going to be about the same mark. Donovan Smith does return as a veteran quarterback, threw for over 2,800 yards, rushed for over 400. He returns this year alongside Parker Jenkins, their leading rusher, with over 464 yards. Joseph Manjack returns at wide receiver, though they do lose a few other top playmakers. And the offensive line does have 118 career starts up front. So the offense, I would expect to take a slight step forward, nothing too major, but maybe won't be as bad as people think. The defense certainly does need some work. 5 starters back there after giving up 31.5 points per game, 424 yards per game, 169 of which came on the ground. A.J. Halsey does return at safety as the number 1 tackler from last season. Jamal Morris is back at linebacker, the number 3 tackler from last season. And Fritz really hit the portal hard. Houston is loaded with transfers in all 3 levels of this defense, defensive line, linebacking core, and the secondary. But how quickly they gel could determine how good Houston's season can be. And I'm afraid it's not going to be that good of a season, because if you look at the schedule, you realize it's brutal. This is a horrible, horrible schedule. It is so tough. I mean, look at the non-conference games alone. They play UNLV, the Mountain West runner-up. They go on the road to Oklahoma. They play Rice, who they lost to last year and actually has quite a bit of talent. And then conference play, where they've got to play tons of the top dogs. Utah, Kansas State, Kansas, Iowa State, Arizona. I mean, they got to play some of the best teams in this conference, and they are arguably, Houston is, the worst team in this conference, especially when it comes to experience, when it comes to talent, and just dealing with a whole new coaching staff. But we'll start diving into it. I think they beat UNLV barely. The Rebels are no slouch. The Mountain West runner-up for a reason. They've got a great offense, although they do lose their quarterback. So a brand new quarterback coming on the road to take on the Cougars, who are going to be excited for this new era of football. I think Donovan Smith is the difference maker here. Having a veteran at quarterback is the difference maker. And UNLV's defense, up and down throughout the season. That's typical of a Barry Odom team. They beat UNLV barely. Lose to Oklahoma, who's going to be way too good. Their first year in the SEC. They're going to be dangerous defensively. Houston struggles mightily offensively in Norman. They lose that game. And I think they get revenge over Rice. They lost to the Owls 43-41 last year in double overtime. I think they barely escape now. I think it's a very high-scoring game once again. Rice's defense still needs a little bit of work, although they do return their top 6 tacklers. And Rice gives them everything they've got. I think it's another one-possession game. But Houston ekes out a win over the Owls, and they are 2-1. But guys, an 0-3 start is not out of the question. UNLV, Oklahoma, and Rice are all very losable games. I would not be shocked to see Houston start 2-1 like we believe. Wouldn't be shocked to see them start 1-2. Wouldn't be shocked to see them 0-3. I'd be the most shocked to 3-0, but that's not happening. So no easy cupcake games on this schedule. No surefire victories on this schedule for the Cougars. They're 2-1 heading into the bulk of conference play. But it's brutal, guys. And we'll go through it quick. I guess I'm going to tell you right now, Houston's not winning a conference game this year. I don't think they are. I don't see them winning a conference game. So we have them going 2-10. We'll go through them quick. At Cincinnati, Old American Conference rivals. They lost to the Bearcats 24-14 at home last year. Cincinnati was no good last year. The Bearcats definitely going to be a lot better this season. So if Houston lost by 10 at home last year to a bad Cincinnati team, Houston's getting worse, and now they've got to go to an improving Cincinnati team at Nippert Stadium. Why wouldn't we pick the Bearcats? They lose to Cincinnati. They lose to Iowa State. They return to 19 starters and will have one of the best defenses in this conference. So again, an elite defense going up against a mediocre, subpar offense in Houston. Not a good recipe there. Cougars lose at home to the Cyclones. They go on the road to TCU, who they lost to 36-13 last year. Similar logic here with the Cincinnati game. If Houston got beat that bad at home last year, their team's arguably going to be worse than they were last year. TCU's getting better, and it's at TCU. Why are we not picking the Horned Frogs? TCU wins that game. They come out of their bye week. They go on the road to Kansas. Kansas is going to be playing all of their games in Kansas City, so no true home field advantage. Not like it matters. Kansas' offense is going to be way too much for this Houston defense. The Cougars allowed 169 rushing yards per game. That's absolutely insane. Devin Neal, Jalen Daniels, if he can stay healthy, if both can stay healthy, will have a field day against this defense. They fall to the Jayhawks. Utah and Kansas State have two of the best defenses in this conference. Maybe number 1 and number 2 defensively in this conference, and very well as a team could be number 1 in Utah, number 2 in Kansas State. That's how good these two teams are. Houston gets to host them. That's great, but the home field advantage isn't going to matter because those two teams are light years better in all aspects, coaching, offense, and defense. The only thing Houston's got is home field advantage, and that's not enough to get the win. So they lose those two games. They come out of the bye week. They take on Arizona. Is Houston's secondary ready for this game? Arizona's going to have a very dangerous passing attack, as we know. No doubt about that. Now they've got to go on the road to face a Wildcats team that won 10 games last year. And yeah, has a new coach in Brent Brennan, but I don't think it's going to completely fall apart. So they lose to the Wildcats. They beat Baylor last year, did win that game by 1 point in overtime, but Baylor reloaded themselves to the transfer portal, bringing a veteran quarterback in Daquan Finn from Toledo. They've got all their skill position players coming back, tons of defensive guys coming back, and plenty of solid transfers coming in as well. The secondary is very, very good. I really like their front seven a lot too. I'm not saying Baylor's going to be a world beater by any means, but Houston was fortunate to win last year, and now Baylor, that has taken a lot more improvement and is now in more consistency with their head coach and Dave Aranda, they get the win on the road. And then on the road at BYU, Provo, not an easy place to play. The Cougars aren't going to be much of anything either. The Cougar battle here between Houston and BYU. They're not going to be that great, but home field advantage on their senior day in an underrated place to play. If the Cougars can stay healthy, injuries is one of the things that hurt them last year, they will be just fine. I like their offense quite a bit. Gary Bohannon, a dangerous dual-threat QB if he can stay healthy. The defense was bad last year but should improve. Maybe you see a lot of points scored, but bottom line is BYU is the better team from top to bottom, and they've got home field advantage. They win that game. Houston's 2-10. It's pretty simple, and I hate that. I had a lot of respect for this program. I had a lot of respect for Dana Holgorsen. Hated to see his tenure there turn out the way it did, but I'm a huge fan of the Willie Fritz hire. That was a home run hire. And like I said at the beginning, he's a program builder. Anyone thinking that he's going to come in here and even get Houston to a bowl game is delusional. Anyone thinking he's going to come in here and do what he did at Tulane the last 2 years and his first year at Houston is delusional. He is a program builder, not a miracle worker. 2-10 is not ideal by any means. It's going to be a long season. But do not be surprised when you see this Houston team take a major step forward next year. Next year could be the year they start getting back to the postseason. Next year can be the year when they're a lot more competitive. And next year can be the year that they really start to look more like a Willie Fritz-led team. So guys, as always, thank you so much for watching us here at the Gridiron Expert on YouTube. Make sure to continue to like, comment, subscribe, share our videos, and of course, check out everything down in the description below. That includes our website, thegridironexpert.com, home of our expert picks, home to our weekly exclusive newsletters. Do not miss out on those. We want you to sign up for all of it to take advantage of it and become a member of our GE Nation. And once again, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time right here on the Gridiron Expert.
Yeah.